So the reason we listen to Dharma is we're investing in ourselves, as I said earlier. The reason we listen to Dharma is that we're investing in ourselves and we're giving something to ourselves back. Why is that? Because when we listen to Dharma more and we engage in Dharma more, I promise you, you will start seeing a change and transformation in your mind. Your dissatisfaction will start going away. Your acceptance and tolerance level will start growing. Your ability to affect people around you positively will grow. And you'll see that normal emotions that were very disturbing for you in the past, you're able to handle. They don't go away immediately, but you're able to handle them and go through them gracefully and not act upon them. You'll see that happen. Why? Because intelligent people, which all of us are, intelligent people, will listen to something that is logical and they'll say, oh. And even if directly they do not practice, indirectly it's going into the submind, the subconscious mind. When it goes in the subconscious mind, it affects the conscious mind. Subconscious, chama kisheba. Subconscious mind, raga kisheba, which is gross mind. It will definitely affect it. And our gross mind is what makes us do this, this, and this, but it comes deeply from the subconscious mind and the imprints we've had for many lifetimes and this lifetime. So what happens is, the more we engage in Dharma, the more you'll see your mind transform. Definitely. And the most beautiful thing about Dharma is this, is that it's not that you get stepped on anymore. You don't view it as being stepped on. The beautiful thing about when you listen to Dharma more and more and engage in it, what happens is this. Immediately your tolerance level grows. And that's remarkable. Remarkable. Your tolerance level grows. Why is that remarkable? Because you don't have to change anything, but everything changes. And it's remarkable when your tolerance level grows because then it affects the people who normally would expect you to react in this kind of way, and you don't. And that's a great example for people around you. You know, a lot of times we want to bring people to Buddhism. We want to bring them to some spiritual practice. But we can't affect them because we speak well, we know the knowledge, but we don't practice. And when a difficult situation comes, we act the opposite of what we preach and what we say. And that's very difficult for people because people are intelligent, they watch, they observe. So what we see immediately is when we practice Dharma and when we learn Dharma, your tolerance level will grow. Things that you normally cannot take, people you normally cannot take, situations that are difficult you normally cannot withstand, you will be able to withstand. And why is that such a great gift? Why is that such a great attainment, great plus? Because in life, nothing is guaranteed. In life, nothing is for sure. In life, you can never ever have security, no matter what you do. You can plan, but the plans are very difficult to manifest and with many obstacles, because that's the nature of existence. And the minute you're born, every day you live is one day closer to death. So, when you're able to tolerate the short time that you're here, you don't create more negative karma to create more negative suffering for yourself in this life and future lives. You don't aggravate the negative karma you already have. That's one. Second is when you're able to tolerate and you accept, you do something about it, positive, but you accept the difficulties that come. With acceptance of it, you purify the karma and that what caused that so it doesn't come again. You see, if we don't have tolerance and we react negatively, when something negative happens, we act negatively again and it becomes a vicious cycle and it doesn't end. And we do more negative action and more negative action and more negative action and it creates more. So temporarily this might have been finished, but it actually creates more. So when we have tolerance, we're able to purify the karma because we endure, suffer through, bear through, and we absorb, and it's finished. It's gone. It's like when you go for vaccinations, they give you the actual disease in small doses, and you experience some symptoms of that disease. And once you experience it, your body builds an immunity system to it. And so therefore, when you go to some place that's got meningitis or whatever, you don't get it. Why? Your body's built up tolerance. Similarly, in practice, you build up a tolerance. But this tolerance goes beyond just a protective layer. This goes to the source, which is the mind. And what's that source? That source is able to take tolerance. You see, if someone tells you suffer and it's good for you, If someone says suffer, it purifies your karma so you don't have to suffer like that again. Oh. Then someone tells you if you suffer, it purifies the karma and it helps the people around you and the people you love. Example, if you take vegetarianism and dedicate someone who's sick like your mother, your father. It's suffering because we're all carnivores here. We're all carnivores. And eating meat is the delight of the day. We love it. Want to go for steak? Wonderful. You want to go vegetarian? See you later. And vegetarians always associate it with some kind of asceticism, some kind of like suffering. And my point is that, like that, when you have tolerance based on wisdom of what? The truth of samsara. The truth of samsara is karma, cause and effect. The positive actions beget positive results, vice versa. That's the truth. That's universal. It's very simple. There's no mystery and magic in Tibet. That's it. So what happens is, when we develop that type of tolerance based on the knowledge that if we do negativities, we get it. And what we're experiencing now is a result of what we've done before. As I said earlier session, the cause resembles the result. So when we realize that, at first we're now able to control ourselves because we have all these habituations. But it will go in. And if we keep practicing and we have the basis to practice, we'll go in. No matter how lazy a person is, no matter how spoiled a person is, if they have to eat, they will do something to get food. Even if they wait for the last minute, they will get something. Either beg on the street and meet him and not get anything. Remember his question earlier? I know you're rich, I'm not giving you anything. Or you meet me, a sucker, I just give you, never mind. But the point is, that's a joke. The point is that when you develop this type of mind, based on this theory, based on this kind of thinking, even if this theory and thinking is hogwash, and it's just crap. Buddha was some fat guy who collected a lot of money and he tricked everybody and died. Even if it's hogwash, still it benefits us. Why? Because we develop a good quality in this life. Who will not praise tolerance, patience, enthusiasm? Who will not praise that? What culture, what people will not praise that? Where? Everybody does. So therefore, even if Buddha was a liar, or he was wrong, or he was insane, even if he was, let's hypothetically say that, still we don't lose with this kind of philosophy. Still there's a basis. Because they say marriage brings happiness. A lot of cultures say marriage brings happiness. And 90% of us that I've met know that marriage doesn't bring happiness. It doesn't. It doesn't bring happiness. In fact, women today are very, very smart, and they're very, very modern, and they have education, and the most important thing, the sociological factor for women today is that they have a means of support. Whereas in the past, they're dependent on the husband, so if the husband is nasty, they're finished, because they need to eat. But today, a lot of women have empowered themselves by having a means of support. So that means they can find a job, they can work themselves, they're educated, and that's wonderful, so that they don't have to be in the tyrannies of nasty husbands, and vice versa, and vice versa. So the trend has changed, because that's why divorce is rising. There's many factors, it's one of them. And then how many times you hear, oh, you're the love of my life, and all these cars, and they're so dramatic, and they tell you they love you, they're fabulous, they're wonderful, they're the most beautiful, I can't live without you. 2 years later, they're in divorce court. And they're lucky it's 2 years, sometimes 1 year, it's divorce court. Why? Because their projection of that person wasn't true. And their own projection of themselves were not true. And when they're put in a certain situation, they can't take it. And marriage, most of the time for many people, is hell. The difference between older people and new generation of people with marriage is, it's a stigma to divorce. You fail, you're bad. Today the attitude is, oh God, I'd rather be alone than unhappy. I mean, wait a minute. TLC, they sing that. Waterfalls. I'd rather be alone than unhappy. And it's kind of the norm now. And so what happens is that people realize that's not happiness. I'm not saying don't get married. I'm not saying get married. I'm saying get rid of the wrong expectations. And whatever you do will be happy. I talk to many people. Many people, and they all tell me nicely, I wish I didn't have kids. I wish I didn't get married. If I knew what I knew now, I wouldn't have done that. I say, is your husband nasty? No, my husband's not nasty. Is your wife? No, my wife's not nasty. It's just that I don't see the purpose of all of this. I don't see, why. Why do I want to do all this? Why do I want to stretch my body like a balloon and back, and then I have all these stretch marks, and the kids grow up, they're monsters. What for? And the husband's like, oh my God, they're gray, and they have one piece of hair left, and they look at the monsters, they look at their fat wife, they're like, why? 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 And even the kids grow up, they're fabulous, they're rich, they're wonderful, Let's hope 1 out of 100% they'll come back and respect and take care of the parents. And today's distractions is very rare. So it's like, it's a lot of made up things that are not based on truth. Not based on truth. And I'm using that as an example. I'm not putting it down. I'm not saying, oh, everybody shouldn't get married. No. I'm not saying that. I'm saying marriage is an example for everything we do in life. We have a projected expectation based on not the truth. Based on ignorance and the limited knowledge we have that's very narrow. And therefore, when we hear the Dharma, it turns that around. It opens us up. So even if we're in a rotten marriage, we can turn it around to make a nice marriage with Dharma. Even if we're in a horrible situation, we can turn it around and make it nice. Why? Instead of trying to change that person all the time, we change ourselves. As Shantideva always says, it's easier to wear shoes on your feet to avoid thorns and rocks that damage your foot than to sweep the whole earth and expect the whole earth to be free of pebbles and free of thorns so that your foot doesn't get cut. It's less work, it's easier, the effect is exactly the same. He says that in the Bodhisattva Charavatara. It's my favorite, I love it. I read that 20 years ago and I go, wow, I said, that's true. Imagine, wear shoes, it's the effect of the same effect as if you sweep the whole planet. And that's what we do. We run around changing people all the time and expecting this, expecting that. Well, we don't change ourselves. And it's a lot of work. We get tired. We get stressed out and we get exhausted and we get depressed and sometimes we get into situations that we regret. But if we just change ourselves, wherever we go, the effect is the same. There are nasty people. When you change yourself, doesn't mean nasty people won't change. But you see, they can harm you less because if you don't respond, there's a chance that they might regret. There's another chance they just leave you alone. And you think you lose face. You don't lose face. You don't. You gain. Why do you gain? All the trouble, the problems, the difficulties, and extra negative karma that you don't need. So when we listen to the Dharma, step by step, and its vast teachings and its vast ways, and why there's so much Dharma? Because our minds are vast. We have different types of mentalities. Because we have different types of mentalities, we need different types of teachings to suit us. And then we say, well, if we find the teaching would suit us, we don't have to listen to anybody else or anything else. Yeah, but if we listen more, we know many methods, and we're able to help many types of people. See, the point we listen to Dharma is not based on people. It's not whether they do good or they do good bad. They're good, then I do. They're not good, I don't do, and I run. No, you see, that's a wrong attitude to Dharma. We shouldn't do Dharma on the basis of people. We should do it for people, for others. When we do for others, it's different. Sometimes I hear, oh, in that Dharma center, there's this nasty person, and I'm leaving, I'm not going to practice Dharma. But one person, you'll give up your whole spiritual career. For one person, you'll give up your whole spiritual practice. For one disappointment, one incident, you'll give up everything and just run away back to samsara. And you may be temporarily free from the nasty person or situation, but ultimately you suffer. Why? Because you're bereft or you're not with knowledge. So I find it ridiculous that if we, in the Dharma center, just use as an example, 1 or 2 or 3 people we don't like, or the situation we don't like, whatever, and we just run. Why? Temporarily we think that's our normal samsara method, but it doesn't work because we lose out. We're never able to deal with nasty people. We have to keep running, and we just run and run and run until we can't run anymore. And then that's 1. 2 is that if it's in a Dharma center, people always have this question: why do they act like that if it's in a Dharma center? How ridiculous! That's why people are nasty in the Dharma center. But those are people a little better than people who are not, because these people know they have a problem. They're here to find a solution. It's like asking a question: why is there anybody sick in a hospital? Hello? Why is there sick? Why do people die in a hospital? Like, what a ridiculous question. So you equate that to Dharma center. Of course there's going to be nasty people in the Dharma center. I'm nasty. I'm a thug. There are mean people. There are people with all kinds of weird thinking, weird energies, and they have desire, they have unhappiness, they have jealousy. Just like me, they don't all practice sincerely and completely. And so we expect the other people to be perfect, so they influence us and inspire us. But do we ever think about inspiring them? Influencing them? It's time to think this way and not this way. Why? Thinking that way creates sufferings for us, Dharma center or not. Thinking this way, we suffer, but the suffering doesn't continue. So what happens is, of course there are nasty people in Dharma center. There are sneaky people. People are people, but at least they're there. And the Dharma center brings benefit to many, many people. Many people get benefit. So we shouldn't be in a Dharma center on the basis of people. Oh, because they're nice, or they listen to me, I get respect, or they give me a special seat, or there's teachings, or whatever. We should be there for people, for others, not just in the Dharma Center, everywhere. So if we do things on the basis, we're going to run. If we do on for, we stay. And I like that second part better, because that comes along with the teachings on tolerance and why we should tolerate. Why? It makes much more sense to me. So we shouldn't practice on the basis of, or be there on the basis of. We should practice for others. I've realized that. Because I've been in Dharma centers my whole life, and I've come across very nasty people before I was ordained, before I was recognized and all that stuff, and they were nasty to me. And I used to go and talk to my guru. And that's what he would tell me. But it was a little difficult that time, because I was 17, 18, but I accepted it, and I controlled myself because I have total faith and commitment in Buddha's teachings and my guru. There's going to be people like that everywhere. But at least in a Dharma center, we get nasty and we get good. Outside, we just get nasty. We don't get any good. Nothing. We don't change. So I'm not making excuses for my Dharma center or any Dharma center. What I'm telling you is reality. Total reality. Accept reality and you're happy and you can move on. You don't accept reality, you suffer. You yourself suffer. Why do you want to suffer? You're already suffering enough. You're already suffering enough. We don't need more suffering. We don't need more unhappiness. So if we take this kind of perspective and view, it makes much more sense. It's much more easier. It's less taxing. It's less stressful. And our lives are more fulfilled. Much more fulfilled. And I think that's the purpose of life, is to be a benefit to others on the ultimate level. And the lower level, the immediate level, is to be happy. We don't have this happiness that is unchanging. And that's what happens when we listen to Dharma more and more. And don't worry about it's extensive. There's a lot to remember. There's a lot. Because you know what? You will all believe. You will remember. And you'll be able to do it. And when the situation comes, it will arise. Because all of us want to be happy. And that will be our motivation, of course. All of us want peace in our families. All of us want peace. Even people that damaged us tremendously, that hurt us and lied to us. Our exes, our ex-boss, ex-lover, ex-husband, ex-wife. All those people that hurt us, they're the first people we should practice tolerance with. We don't go into, oh, well, I'm British now, you're wonderful, and huggy, and can you cheat me more? So I can tolerate you. No. Let's get married and we can sleep with another 20 women. And I won't bother me at all because I'm a Buddhist. You're also encouraging him to do negative things too. So no, not that excuse. What happens is, in your heart, what is happening? Let it go, because it was your plan. You chose. Take responsibility for it. You thought you were the greatest person on this planet. You went to bed, and you cooked, and you lived, and it was you. You made that choice. No one blinded you, cut your tongue out, cut your ear out, and slit your spinal cord. So you're a vegetable, and you were forced to marry, and then you go, "Oh, you're stupid." Nobody did that to you. You chose. You picked it. You wanted it. You got it. And so take responsibility for it. That's one. On a higher level is your karma. Straight, purify the karma. How? Now that it's separated or gone or whatever, any situation. I'm talking about this is people relations, all right? Let it go. The karma's finished. But if you keep thinking about it and keep adding to it and keep talking about it and keep sending negative energy, you know what happens? They may be gone, but your negative karma hasn't stopped. So what's the best thing? Don't talk. Just forget it. Accept it. Let it pass. Be yourself. That's the most beautiful thing. And if Dharma tells us that, and we can do that, I promise you there'll be a huge difference in your life. Huge. And even people that harmed you, they're like, oh, you're different. And they can't harm you anymore. You know why? Because whatever they do doesn't disturb you. And ultimately, when people harm us, they want to disturb our minds. That's the real thing. They really want to disturb our minds. So if our minds can't be disturbed, no one can harm us. No one. And wouldn't that be lovely to live in a state free of fear? Free of fear. And Dharma will create that in you. Why? Dharma gives you logical reasonings and practices and methods to achieve that type of level. It's hard. It's difficult. It's easier just to pick up and leave, from a negative situation. It's harder to stay and deal with it. But ultimately, you win and you gain more if you stay and deal with it. I've learned that through the hard way. Because I tell you, I am the master of running away. I have been running away my whole life. I run. Anything nasty, I run. Anything I don't like, I run. I think, I don't deal with this crap. I can do something else. And I realized that everywhere I went, I encountered problems and troubles. And I've stopped running. I've stopped running because there is nowhere to run. Because I can't run from myself. I can't run from my mind. I can't run from my habituations. And I can't escape my karma that I've created. I can't. And I realized that.